Hey Clear Lake peeps, Ross England here with your fishing report for March 25th, 2021. This is going to be a little bit of a dismal report. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And again, this is always just based on my experience. Let's talk about activities that are coming up. First of all, the biggest note for next weekend is there was supposed to be a new gen Pro-Am going next weekend, and that has been, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that that's been rescheduled for later in the year. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I know it was supposed to be this coming weekend and it's been postponed. You're still going to have, a lot of club tournaments going out and, that kind of stuff. So don't expect to come out here on the weekend and find out that, you thought it was going to be empty, because it wasn't. It was better than last weekend when they had 148 boats for the Chamber of Commerce tournament. But anyway, that's what's coming up for this coming weekend. For the most part, nothing. Just a bunch of people out fishing and having a good time. The conditions report, where I'm sitting right now, and I'm sitting in the mouth of Land's End. Water clarity is about a foot, a little bit muddy. We had a lot of wind the last couple of days. The upper end of the lake is really stirred up. The best water quality I saw so far this week and the end of last week was about 2 feet of visibility. That was it. So, and don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely fishable, and I don't think it's going to have any impact on the fish whatsoever. It's just not what you usually expect to see this time of year. The lake levels, 1.2 Rumsey. For all of the storm activity that we were supposed to have gotten over the past week, and don't get me wrong, there were some nasty days. It didn't equate to any rain. It didn't equate to anything getting in the lake and bumping the lake level up at all. As I'm sitting here looking over at the North Shore, all the snow that was blanketing all the hills from basically down below Lucerne all the way up past Upper Lake, all that snow is gone. It's melted and probably has soaked in as opposed to ran off. So again, we're still looking at a bad water year. I don't think it's going to change. So water temperature late last week, and I keep forgetting, I do these on Wednesday afternoon for Thursday morning. Well, I forget that I fish on Thursday and Friday. So last week, water temperature was 49, 50 degrees. It's gotten up to, we'll call it 52 to 54, depending on where you are around the lake. And this is another week that I've spent the entire week up above the Narrows. Part of it was because the wind was too bad to go anywhere else, and the other part of it was there wasn't a whole lot of people fishing up here, so it was easier for me to get around and not have to have a bunch of competition for, fishing small spots. So that's pretty much the conditions. Right now, this is another object lesson. Almost canceled today's trip because the weather forecast was for 13 miles an hour out of the northwest. You can see behind me, I'm not hidden in a protected area. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, and it's pretty doggone calm. Don't get me wrong, I am not complaining at all. Yesterday, we got in about 3.5, 4 hours and had to call it because it just got too flat rough. Way too rough for me. So when you're looking at the weather forecasts, and the one that I think is probably the closest one that I've found is Weather Underground, although NOAA is probably the most accurate. Weather Underground is pretty doggone close, and they've got a lot of stations around the lake. So, you know, if you're really interested in what the water or what the air temperature and the wind is down on Monitor Point, I think somebody's got a station down there. Somebody's got a station in South Lakeport. Somebody's got a station in North Lakeport. So there's a lot of places to get information rather than the general information. So you might check those out. Okay, switching gears. Fishing. For those of you who've been wondering about the live bait bite, I have done live bait yesterday and today, and it wasn't good. Yesterday, I think we had 13 or 14 fish. Today, we had 7. It was just flat tough trying to find a place to go catch fish, and when we did, you know, it was one here, it was one there. It wasn't. There was a lot of casting without a lot of catching. So I would tell you right now that I'm doing much better throwing artificials than I am fishing live bait. Now, I know I talked to another guy just a little bit ago who wrapped up today, and by fishing a little bit deeper, which is not something we normally do this time of year, but fishing a little bit deeper and drop shotting minnows, I think he said he had 18 fish today. So I didn't see a ton of boats around, but I didn't see anybody catch any fish. So I really can't tell you, other than my own perspective, what the bite is, and it's kind of slow. Again, I'm really not doing the fishing report part of this for tournament guys who can sit down and say, "Oh no, we were up there last weekend. We had 32 pounds. We caught 9 fish. We caught 8, whatever the number is." I think you guys are turning this off after you see the conditions and the activities that are going on. For the rest of you, the people who send me messages saying, "I fished yesterday, I didn't catch a fish. I've been up here for 3 days, I've caught 1 fish a day." You know, those kind, yeah, the fishing's not real easy right now. It really isn't. I expect it to be turning around, you know, as we get into this weather break that appears to be going in a positive direction. I'm only a little bit hesitant because, quite honestly, all this week with rising temperatures, and you know, it looks like it's supposed to get up to 75, 76 degrees. It also has a forecast of 8 to 12 mile an hour winds almost every day. Now, like I said earlier, it didn't happen today. So the most consistent thing that we've been catching fish on, drop shotting, especially in the afternoons around docks. Little underspins still are being productive for us. The last 2 days, I didn't throw swim baits offshore like we had the week before. The tail end of last week, we did that a little bit. Still caught fish out there. Most of them were out in 6 to 7 feet of water. They weren't related to anything on the shore whatsoever. It's just pick a depth and then just go down the bank fishing, and make sure you're fishing them slow, just up off the bottom. Other than that, we caught quite a few crappie by accident over the last couple of days, just by, you know, I said we were fishing live bait. And if you're fishing for bass with live bait and you throw it up to a dock and you see the float go down once and it just goes boom and pops back up, 9 times out of 10, that's crappie. You have to really just be patient and let them just take that bait forever before they'll finally get it to a point where you might hook them. More often than not with these big crappie, at least on the size minnows that we're using, you just don't hook them. So I don't know how the bite is going on other parts of the lake. Probably tomorrow I'm going to get down through the Narrows, at least into the Narrows, and maybe down through the Narrows and get off this upper end of the lake. It just was a little bit of a struggle today, and it really wasn't that great yesterday. So I think that's it for this week. We're gonna get back next week. I believe we start into our 5 days a week. So we're gonna keep up with the reports and do the best we can. If any of you have any questions, please make sure that you drop them in the comments down below, because so far I've read through every one of them and I've responded to every one of them as soon as I can, and that's the quickest way to get back to you. Please don't send me a message asking me where to go fish and what to throw, because I'm a guide. That's what I do for a living. I show people how to do that when I get in the boat. So don't ask me where the crappie are, because I'm not going to tell you. And right now I don't even know where they are in any good numbers. So we'll talk to you next week. Oh yeah, we'll talk to you next week. See you later, Caleb, bud.